Welcome to my Humanure and Water Sustainability lecture. My live audience already knows everything there is to know about Humanure, but my internet audience does not know. So I want to just really briefly explain what Humanure is before I go into my actual speech. Humanure was invented by Jenkins. He made the term from human plus manure. Humanure, put your manure into buckets with sawdust instead of ceramic bowls of water. Move it out of the house into a compost pile instead of a septic system. So, here at Leisureland, we do that already. But why do we do it? We do it for water sustainability, which seems maybe a little counterintuitive, but the basic problem with why we would want to use a Humanure system to use our water more sustainably is that human manure carries disease. We all know this. Drinking water can also carry disease from human manure. So, keeping your manure separate from your drinking water is a nice, efficient route to not do that. But our usual instinct towards manure is, ew, take it away. But while that is fundamentally correct, using water for the job is not. We have to deal with our manure effectively, and this is a septic system that is dealing with it effectively, getting it out of the house. Unfortunately, E. coli can get into your groundwater through this method because it goes out into your drain field and percolates into the water table, which is where you get your drinking water from in some circumstances, not here particularly, but in general you can get nasty diseases in you like that, septic systems and pit toilets. Obviously, if the water table rises, you've got an even worse problem.
It's like that, I should say.
Yeah, or in New York, the subways flood. That's a problem. However, it's worth remembering that systems are installed and they work. The EPA notices that until problems arise, everything's fine. But if a problem arises, obviously you've already had lots of contamination. I think we dug up the septic system and it was all nasty and all the dirt around the tank. That was long after the problem had started, but before we noticed it. So EPA notices we've got good infrastructure, but only when we use it properly. So using our water sustainably is worth the effort, even in places with an abundance of water, like here. We really don't need to be wasting water. As you can see in this pie chart, the average American household spends most of its water on flushing the toilet. 27%, single largest item on the pie chart, is the toilet. It's 5 gallons of water per time that you use the toilet going out. So it's just a really inordinate amount of water to be spending on that when you don't have to be. The potentially potable water available on Earth is less than 1% of the total water available on Earth. You can see the oceans, fresh water, all the fresh water, most of it's in glaciers and ice caps. Most of the other available water is still in ice and snow. So the entire terrestrial biosphere is reliant on less than 1% of the total water on Earth to keep recycling and staying alive. Fortunately, we have this handy-dandy water cycle that keeps the water clean for us. When it condenses out or filters through rocks from the clouds, you've got quite a bit of cleaning. Molecules of disease can't move along with you. But the U.S. is using, according to Joe Jenkins' count, about 21 billion gallons a day more than is being replenished by this cycle. So obviously we're going to end up with a lot of disease water if we can't keep up with that, drawing our reservoirs down too far and other extremely not hydrated things. And we need water desperately for drinking, cooking, hygiene, as well as industry and agriculture. We need purified water, so we can either spend lots of money purifying water or we can keep in pace with the natural water cycle. So, with limited water, we need to keep water separate from manure. To do that, we can utilize the power of composting. Composting can process manure sustainably. As you can see in this picture, we have a compost pile where you've got raw materials, water, minerals, all that stuff going in, and then you've got heat and microorganisms and water coming out. Critters make so much heat they evaporate the water out. The pile can't leach like a septic system, which normally puts water right into the ground. Not unless you have a serious rain or flooding event, are you going to have water saturation and leaching issues. No water goes into the compost except for the biological water of urine and feces and bucket washing and hand washing if you do a gray water system like that. And yeah, no water comes out of the pile at all. Ever. So Humanure composting is an unusual but water and disease-free option for handling human manure. Yeah, you can see that the disease goes in, the water comes out nice and clean. Humanure composting is the solution to keeping water and manure separate. So by using a Humanure system, we can more sustainably use and protect our water, and that is why we care to use Humanure. You here in the live audience are on the cutting edge of water sustainability science. So thank you very much, and that please.